Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hairy Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. I'd like to thank you all for being here today, and it's a pleasure to do this. And I enjoy seeing everybody who comes along in the chat, and we've got a great show for you tonight. I am going to be doing something a little bit out of the norm. I am going to be interviewing Monda Burch, and we are going to be hearing about her encounter um that night that she came back to see her husband Jay, and they had quite an encounter back in 2016 in early September. And we have heard Jay tell his story several times, but it seemed very important that we were missing a piece of the encounter, and that was Monda's side of the story. So, without further ado, I'm going. Surprise! I fooled you guys, huh? You thought that was really me. Well, tonight you are going to be watching a pre recorded interview with Monda. Okay. I am going to be here and answering questions. Monda and Jay couldn't be here. They may jump into the chat when they're available, but I'll be monitoring the chat as we go. And let's see who we've got here tonight. So, first in, Sandra. Woohoo. Nice to see you, Sandra. We have Lester the Jester. He's here. And Cindy Finn, of course. Boy, you follow me around, girl. I'm gonna have to give you a bingo card just because you're like one of my number one subs. Um, then we've got Western New York Bigfoot. Hey Joe, how's it going? I might ask you to come on after the pre-record, okay? Um, who do we else? JC, hi girl. How you doing? Then we've got Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, he is in the house. And we have got Lockbeard. You can always tell Lockbeard's here because he has a whole he has a whole paragraph dedicated to everybody. So thanks for being here for sure, Mr. Lockbeard. Rod Dupree, thank you for being here. Sharon, so nice. Jay Fritz, almost passed you up, buddy. That's a great encounter story right there, Mr. Fritz, that you have. And so I am going to go ahead and start the show. But like I said, I will be monitoring the chats. And you, let me see, I'm going to bring up, for those who don't know, this is the beautiful Monda Burch. And we had a great conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Here's her husband, Jay. Boop, boop. And they do Bigfoot barbecue. So let's start the show to bring on Miss Monda Burch. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for coming and sharing your story with us tonight.
Well, you're welcome.
Um, so, like I said, this was back in 2016, and this is near Cougar, Washington. Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
And this was early September, and I believe that would have been Labor Day. Was that Labor Day weekend? That
I
weekend.
believe so. Yeah.
So you guys had some time off, and you were doing the thing you guys love to do, and that's going out and camping. Correct?
Yep.
So Jay, you guys decided to go out Thursday, and that was in order to get a better campsite. Was my
Yeah.
take on
Or,
that.
yeah. Around here, usually Thursday evening people start showing up, but that
Mm-hmm.
year it was kind of rainy off and on. And when it's
Mm-hmm.
like that, people around here, they're kind of, iffy. they'll show
Mhm.
up on Friday, but Thursday they're like, we got time.
Yeah,
So
right.
we went Thursday night and he stayed. I had to work Friday, but he had
Ah,
the extra day off.
okay.
So I left him there.
So, you guys got there, you helped him set up camp, and you guys, left for the store. Am I correct? Did you go into town to get some wood and some other items?
Right.
Okay. And then you came back, and that was pretty late at night, or was that,
No, it was
mid-afternoon?
probably, I want to say 4:30. No, we got we probably got there about 4:30 and then we set up camp. So by the time we got done with that, it was probably 5:30ish. We went
Ah,
down and got wood. It's a 20-minute drive down and
okay.
then 20 minutes back up. So by the time we got back up, it was getting close to dark, but not,
Mhm.
it wasn't dark yet.
And this was something normal that you would do if, catch your spot and then you would meet him up there, later when you got
No.
off work? Or this was
It
just
wasn't unusual for one of us to go up on a Thursday and set the tent up and save the spot.
okay.
But then we would just go home and then come up the next day when we got off
Ah,
work and all
uh-huh.
that. But this year he had an extra day off and decided he would go up and stay.
I
And
see, I see.
so I left him, and which, yeah, that was totally not normal.
Oh, okay.
And in
Wow.
fact, when I got home, I talked to my son and he's like, well, you're going to go back and get him tonight, right? And I'm like, well, no, he wanted to stay. And he's like, no, we don't do that. So, because we don't do that as a family, we don't go by ourselves. There's always
Uh-huh.
two people, and
Right,
but that was the first year we'd camped in a lot of years. So we were just kind of getting back into it. And
right.
yeah, it just wasn't thinking
Mm.
right, I guess.
Well, in under normal circumstances, I can remember my family doing that as well, going out and
Yeah.
catching a good spot because
Hmm.
we knew that on the weekends, all the people I lived in Arizona, so all the people in Phoenix would come up on the weekends
Right.
and, they would snag all those good spots. So, I remember my family doing that growing up, and, uh, my dad would take out our motorhome and drop it off, and I would follow in his vehicle so that he could
Uh-huh.
go back to because he would have to work on Friday, but at least we were out there,
Right.
camping and holding the spot, and then he would come later on the next day. So I
Hmm.
remember that quite well, and, um, but he had quite an experience that night.
Yes,
um,
so.
and had several encounters with Bigfoot. I mean, he had made it quite clear that he knew, well, we knew about his past with, going out and looking for Sasquatch and not finding really anything or any
Hmm.
evidence. But
Right.
in this regard, in the back of his head, I I know he was like, "Oh my God, is this really happening?" type of stuff.
Hmm.
But having to be out there by himself, that would be quite the experience.
Yeah, we had camped lower down the road all summer long. Pretty much every weekend we were up there, but we had never ventured out and gone farther up the road.
Uh-huh.
So then we did that the weekend before we came up. We decided, let's drive up here and see what's up here. And then we found all these campsites that are, off the road, more as the spots we were staying at, you had to park your car, carry your stuff in, and they were
Right.
fairly close to the road. But this
Right.
road farther up, there were several of them. So we thought we're going to get a spot up there. We found a spot farther down that we really liked. But when we came up, somebody was in that, and it was quite a
Mhm.
bit farther up. So we came back
Mhm.
and we found this spot
Mhm.
and pulled in there, and there was like these giant boulders that you just fit through to get in there,
Yeah.
and drove back there, and it was like I'm like, oh, this is an awesome spot. So, but it was the first time we'd even been up that far.
Ah.
And a bit farther down, we hadn't seen a deer, we hadn't seen anything. So it was like,
Mhm.
there's no animals around here, So it wasn't even a thought. It just never even thought of seeing anything up there, let alone having any kind of experience.
Right. But up until the point where you left that Thursday night, everything was normal. Everything
Yeah,
seemed,
yeah,
just
yeah.
perfect. And was it also raining that day, or was it
Yeah,
drizzly
it was
off?
kind of rainy off and on. And
Uh-huh.
it's, it rains, it can pour 1 minute and then the sun's out and then
Mhm.
it comes back. And that's kind of how it was that weekend. It was off and
Right.
on.
Oh,
So, it wasn't so bad that we couldn't stand it. It was just
right.
off and on.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So so you left, and we left Jay there, and he had his experience with the scream at night, and feeling all the trauma of that evening, being alone and hearing things, and
Hmm.
the apish sound that he said he heard, and uh getting up. Now, the one thing I didn't quite catch is that he says he saw an orangish color Sasquatch, but I
It,
didn't know if that was early Friday morning. Did that happen?
I
Or
believe so. I believe it was before I got there,
uh-huh.
and
um
I didn't get there till 4:30 Friday afternoon.
he had to go through the whole day without you. Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Um, well, let's just go to that moment, that time when you got back, and see if you can, go through what happened to you from that moment on.
Okay. Well, I pulled in and he started walking up to the car, and I expected him to be, telling me all about the area and this and that because that's what he would normally do is kind of explore whenever we went camping.
Mhm.
And I got there and he came up to the car, but he was like frantic. And he was like, you wouldn't believe what was happening. And oh my goodness. And he just went on and on. And I was like, oh, what the heck is going on? So I get out of the car and there was a beer can sitting on the ground. So I'm like, you know, for good grief, what the heck? So
Yeah.
I look down and there's a print right there. And I'm like, what is that? I said, did you see this? He said, yeah, that's why I put the can there.
Oh,
And and it was like right by where I'd parked. And it didn't look like it was, like the night before. It looked older. We just didn't
uh-huh.
notice it the day before. And so I get out and he starts telling me right after you left, I heard this stomp and he just kind of went through everything that had happened through the night and he's like we started walking around and we got down and there's a creek there and he's like, did you know there's a creek here? And I'm like, well, of course I know there's a creek here. We went down
Uh,
here, we looked down here, and we were talking about how our grandson would love it.
yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
because him and my youngest son were going to come up and spend a few hours the next day. And yeah, he had no memory of that. And I was just like, what happened? This isn't normal. So, you know, we we went back to the camp and he sat and he kind of told me more about everything that had happened, kind of told me about the scream, but he wouldn't do it. um
Yeah.
he did it when we got home, but he
Uh-huh.
wouldn't do it while we were out there. And then uh I don't know, a little bit later we decided we'd walk across the that creek, and there was some logs across it that you could walk and get across it, and it wasn't very deep, probably just below your knees at that point,
Mhm.
um if that deep, but enough, I don't want to walk through it, but there was some
Yeah.
logs and you walk across it, and just as you get over there, there's tracks like everywhere, and they're big and not they were big like a human's foot, but bigger, and not. I couldn't have made that, put an indention in the ground like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing we were doing was even making a dent in the ground. And right there by the creek, it was kind of a sandy, not real, not like when you go to the beach sand, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
ash up there. So you've
Uh-huh.
got a lot of that with the small rocks and stuff. So it was just an area where some friends could be.
Yeah.
But most of it is a real hard, kind of rocky, and like I say, there's ash, but there's just more rock. It's like a horse trail.
Oh.
So it's not really for, me and you to walk
Mm-hmm.
down. It's for the horses, because there's a
Right.
horse camp right up the road from there.
Uh-huh.
I need a drink.
Oh, yes. Wow.
So, before we went over there, we noticed that there was a tree that was across the trail. And that wasn't there the day before when we were down looking at the trail when we first
Uh-huh.
got to the camp, because we went down to the water, checked it out, talked about our grandson, but you could see this trail. It kind of went up this hill a little bit, but it was all nice and clear. You could walk it no
Yeah.
problem. But then when I came back, there was this tree across it, and it wasn't a huge tree. It was, probably like this, I would say,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't there the day before. And, he didn't remember the creek even being there. So
Uh-huh.
he's like, well, was that there? And I'm like, no, it wasn't there. We talked about how clear it was. And, we'll
Uh-huh.
have to walk up there and see what's up there. So we decided we would walk across. We saw the tracks. We went up farther to where the tree was. And it was like this far off of the ground. The tree was, like I say, at that point, at the
Uh-huh.
base of it, probably this big, and it was twisted, not just broken over, twisted.
Uh-huh.
And it was so big that, I mean, not huge, but too big that a person couldn't do that. I don't know what could do that, but it
Mm-hmm.
was twisted and then pushed over the trail. And then farther at the end, it was twisted and came back, and then it was there was another tree that was pulled down and twisted into it. It was just
Wow.
really different. So we saw that, and while we were around that, he thought he saw somebody over behind these bushes.
Mm-hmm.
It was like some blackberry bushes there. But we'd never been there, so we didn't know, and we thought, oh, there must be another camp over there. Well, maybe they were doing something over here.
Uh-huh.
And so we decided, well, we're going to go back to our side. We're in somebody's camp. And I had seen something in my vision, but I didn't look over there. So I didn't see what he saw. He's just like, there's somebody over there, that's somebody's camp. So we went back, and
Mm-hmm.
then we're over there, and I don't know, not, perfect in all the order. It's been a lot of years now.
Yeah.
But I want to say it was maybe the half hour after that, this crow was flying above the camp, and it's squawking and making all this, how they kind of make that talkity sound.
Yeah.
It's doing that, and it did it several times, and it would come back and do it again and do it again. And then we heard something, oof, over kind of in the bushes on our side of the creek, kind of, to the side of us from where we were sitting.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't see anything over there, but we heard it. It did it twice. And it was like it was talking to the bird. it was like they were communicating, and then the bird stopped. It went away after it kind of acknowledged. And then I don't know, a little bit later, we heard whoops coming from the other side. And we're like, okay, so somebody's over there doing a Bigfoot thing, something, because
Yeah.
it was just too perfect. And it was just like, there's got to be something going on, So we did that back and forth all through the evening. No, there's something over there, or no, somebody's doing something. They've got some kind of Bigfoot show they're making. Something's happening. They're trying to call them in, whatever, because we had no idea what was over there.
Yeah.
Other than we thought there may be a campground over there. But then when it started getting dark, and we'd been hearing voices off and on, you couldn't understand it. It was like somebody, just out of your hearing distance for making out the words, but you could hear the sounds.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, yeah, there's somebody over there talking. And then it got dark and you'd hear it, but there's no flashlight. There's no campfire. There's no lantern. There's no nothing but blackness over there, but you're still hearing these voices. Okay, back up before the voices. After the whoops, then it was probably, I want to say 20 minutes or so. Then he was standing up, going to the bathroom, and he's looking, straight ahead. And then he looks off to his right, and that gives him a view of the trail across the creek. And he said, oh my God, there's some woman coming down that trail. There is somebody over there. And he starts talking about this crazy coat. And he's like, I'm trying to finish peeing. And he says, there's a woman over there, and she's got this crazy coat. And he's just going on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? A crazy coat? I mean, a coat's a coat, And he's like, but it's like sparkling and just weird. And I don't know. So I get up and I go to where I can see where the trail is. And as soon as I started walking that way, he says she walked into the forest. And I'm like, what? He says she just turned and went straight in the forest. And I'm like, okay, so there's somebody over there, whatever. And but then later on, we're still hearing these sounds and the voices and all that. That was kind of it for the night. It was just the voices all night long until I went to bed. Normally I would stay up late when we go camping. That's what I used to do. Because he goes to bed early and stuff. So I would normally stay up and just kind of enjoy the fire and the stars and all that. And that night I was like, no, I'm just not comfortable. So, even if it is just somebody over there, I'm just not comfortable. There's no light or anything over there. They're just freaking me out. So I went to bed, and then I also get up early. So I get up, it's still dark because the time is changing, it's getting darker in the morning. And I still just had that creepy feeling. So I just sat in the car and waited for some daylight. And then once the light started coming out, then I got out and built a fire and made the coffee and all that. And I was sitting there and I started hearing the voices again. And it's like, okay, there's just somebody over there. And I'm just sitting there and I'm looking around and I see this tree straight across from the creek. I see something, but it's kind of high up. I mean, not 20 feet up. It's like, it's hard to tell because of how the creek is. There's like a bank and all that. So I'm not sure how high it was from where the ground was.
Right.
But I just saw something coming out from the edge of the tree, and I don't know what it was, but I couldn't say that was. I wanted to say that, okay, that was just a bird and its wing, but it didn't wasn't right what I was seeing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it was. But there's something on the other side of the tree. And it may have been a bird. I don't know, but it just wasn't the right shape for, and it didn't make sense where it was, why it would,
Right.
how it would be there. It just didn't make sense.
Uh-huh.
Um, if it was a wing, even though it wasn't the right shape, I should have been able to see the rest of the bird from how I was seeing this, because it wasn't right on the tree. It was
Mm-hmm.
back away. Um, but I don't, like I say, I don't know what that was. It was just something there, and I just told myself, okay, yeah, there's just a weird bird over there,
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, and that's just how it was for the rest of the weekend. We heard the voices. Now my son came up later that day. Me and my grandson stayed on this side of the creek, and him and his dad walked over there, and they kind of looked around a little more, and they're like, yeah, there's no campground over there. There's no place to even have a campground. It's all brush. It's all, wood piles,
Mm-hmm.
um, from where, trees have fallen. It's not anywhere somebody's going to be hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw the tracks and all that, and was like, okay, time for you to come home. And we stayed Saturday night, and then we came home Sunday. Instead of staying the whole weekend, we came home Sunday. And I was intrigued because I didn't have anything bad happen, at that
Right.
point. I just,
Uh-huh.
heard some sounds, and,
Right.
even though I got kind of creeped out, I didn't have anything happen at that point. So I was just intrigued, and I was like, can we go back yet? Let's go back. Let's go see if we can hear something else.
Uh-huh.
So it took a month before I could talk him into going back up. And we went up there. I took some muffins. But we had walked out back on the trail and dropped those muffins off. And well, when we got there, first of all, coming up the mountain, once we turned onto that road, we didn't pass anybody, but a forest worker truck was coming
Uh-huh.
down as we were coming up. And that's the only car we passed. We didn't see anybody up there. But it pulled into the site, and I was just like, there's something weird here. Something's just out of place. It just doesn't look right. Something's happened since we were here before. But I couldn't place it. So we go ahead and we go across the creek, and we take the muffins back a little ways. And while we're back there, we realize we're right at the spot where he saw this woman walking down the trail.
Uh-huh.
And right at that point, you can see there's tracks going straight into the forest. And it was like it had turned right there, like you said, and walked right in there, and there was tracks right there.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, there was something here. And there's those tracks again. But these were not as big as the ones that we had seen down at the creek before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, we checked that out. We dropped off the muffins, and we walked down a little farther, and there's a split in the trail, and that's where the actual horse trail comes it through at.
Uh-huh.
The part we're on is like a spur off of that just happens to go to the creek and down the road. But the actual head of the trail is down this other spot.
Uh-huh.
So we got to that, and Well, when we had first come across the creek, I had heard this weird tapping sound. And I didn't say anything about it, but I was like, that's weird. It doesn't quite sound like a woodpecker, but it's not, it wasn't loud. But it was a tapping. It was loud enough that it was in a distance and I could hear it, but it wasn't, like the wood knocks, that kind of thing. It was just a tapping sound I was hearing. So as we're walking back there, I heard it a few more times coming from back the direction we came from. And then we got up to the split, and then you started hearing the tapping again.
Uh-huh.
But it's coming from a different direction. And then it's coming from the other direction. And at that same time, we're noticing this horrid smell. Smelled like, the only thing I can describe it as is like garbage that's been sitting somewhere for a while. You forgot that bag was there for some reason, and it's got that sour, just disgusting smell. And we kind of looked around to see if we could find anything that was causing the smell. Couldn't find anything. And that tapping was going on, and we decided, okay, we're going back. So we went back to the camp, and we brought some dinner up. So he got the fire going. We sat down and started eating dinner. And I had downloaded one of those, I don't know if it was a heat sensor type app on your phone.
Uh-huh.
So I'm kind of looking around, and he's doing the whoops and this and that. Well, then he does that call that they had done the first
that he had heard.
Where they yell that, early in the morning. He did that, and he did it a couple of times. And then it was silent out, and he's like, yeah, there's nothing out here tonight, And then all of a sudden there was a crash on the other side where something was, you could hear it step, and there's just a crash of the brush underneath. And he's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, of course I heard that, because it was, I heard it over the fire that's crackling and the creek that's running, and it sounded like it was, something was right there. And as soon as he asked me that, and I was answering yes, you heard it come across the creek, and it just sounded like a freight train coming through the forest. And, we started heading towards the car, and I had this pocket on the side of my lawn chairs, and I had thrown the keys in there after we got back from walking that trail. And I'm trying to pull that chair with us, so I have the keys to the car. And I grab the keys and I go to pull them out of the pocket, and it pulled the keys back out of my hand, and I dropped the chair. So I dropped the keys and the chair, and then I just kind of yelped, and because I'm like, I've dropped the keys, but it's still crashing right here behind me. So I have to do something. Do I stop and get the keys, or do I get in the car? So I got in the car. And then he's telling me, start the car. And I'm like, I can't. I dropped the keys.
Oh my goodness.
So, we're kind of stuck there. And they were just right out the door. But, at the moment, I don't know. Did I drop them 5 feet back, or was it right there,
Right.
And, the crashing had stopped at that point. So we were able to sit and kind of calm ourselves, discuss, are we going to go back for the chairs, or are we just going to leave, And at one point I got out. Well, I reached out and grabbed the keys out of the pocket, and, I was able to start the car and all that. But then, we ended up backing the car up to where the fire was and loading our stuff up, and you couldn't hear anything else at that point. So we just got loaded up, and it was really creepy, and my knees were shaking and all that stuff, but we got it all loaded up, and pulled out of there and had to go between those rocks again. So my knees were shaking, and I just knew I was going to run into the rocks, and because I was having a hard time, just holding my hands still and all that. So once we got through the rocks, we kind of, stopped for a second so I could calm down. I had my purse was wrapped up in my feet and all kinds of stuff. So, but once we got all that straightened out, then we headed back home, and it was just like, what do you say? That just happened. So
the moment that the crashing was happening and you're running to the car and nothing broke the woods, correct?
It never came out to our view, but it sounded like
it was right there.
It sounded like it was right there. It was going to come out at any second. Now, we went back the next week. We went back and went down to the area where we thought it came from, and we did find a trail that came from across the creek. You could see where it came up the ledge of the creek, and I say that because there's all this stuff broken, and once it got up to the top where there's trees and stuff, it was broken like 8 feet up, and 4 or 5 feet wide. All the branches were broken, all the tips and everything. There was lichen, and I don't mean the lichen that's like that moss. The lichen that this is like a leaf.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a gray on the back side, and the top side it's a green, but a grayish green. But this was everywhere. And it didn't, we were looking up in the trees to see, did it fall out of the trees? But we couldn't see where it had fallen out of the trees. It just looked out of place in that spot. Yeah. There was other kinds of lichen up there, but not that particular kind. So you could follow that trail of lichen and the broken bushes up that ledge, and then it kind of went behind these trees, and they're just small trees right in this area. A lot of little twigs coming out, but not, they're just little tiny sapling trees. And it kind of went around this one set of saplings, and then came back on the trail, came up, and then it ultimately went behind this giant tree. And that's kind of where it stopped. It seemed to have. But at one point, it did come straight down that little trail there. But by that point, I'm sure we were, in the car.
Yeah.
It had kind of went around those saplings enough to make noise. That was enough to make us think, it's right on us. It's going to get us any second. And that's how it sounded. But in actuality, I don't think it really got close to the car at all. Other than, within 20 feet, but it wasn't right next to the car. Close enough.
Right.
Close enough.
Right.
And that was terrifying. Terrifying.
I bet.
And we found the trail and all that. It was difficult to do that. It was really difficult. It was every little sound you heard. Is it coming back after us? And it was hard to go up there for a while, but curiosity, you just gotta go,
Right.
And
well, your mind will
him wanting to go back.
Bears exist, and the damage bears can do.
Right.
So you automatically will go into a fight or flight, and in that situation, it was all about the flight. Everybody would have done that.
Yeah.
Protect yourself. You've got to survive.
Yeah.
So, and to top that, you already knew that there was Sasquatch out there. There was something that was leading you towards that. So, I probably would have been yeah, petrified.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
Um,
when we found that lichen, when we came back and found the trail and the broken branches and all that lichen, we were looking at the lichen for hair, and I noticed it had this crazy colors coming off of it. And I asked him, I said, "Is this what you saw?" And I held the light up against it, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's the crazy coat I saw." So, pretty sure it had lichen on it, you know, from bedding down,
right.
for camouflage, for
Uh-huh.
whatever, you know, whatever they do. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's what he saw, because he just went on and on about this crazy coat. That's the only reason I got up. I
Right.
had to see this crazy coat. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like I say, a coat is a coat, you know. What's so
Right.
great about this crazy coat?
Wow. Now, you guys still continue to go up there, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you still get as much activity up there as you had at that particular couple months that, it
Not
happened?
not like that first year, no. The next year we went up there, we did find some tracks, and they were fairly close to that area, just right on that trail.
Uh-huh.
Um, but then there was a few years where we didn't see anything in there. Now, one thing about that first year when we went up there, we didn't see any animal tracks back on that side. There was no deer tracks, elk tracks, bear tracks, none of that back there. Um, just their tracks. Now, in the years after that, then we started seeing all the other tracks.
Uh-huh.
Um, but we weren't seeing their tracks. Now, this year, we heard some weird stuff back there, but we really didn't get to camp up there a lot this last year. Um, we think there was something going on back there, but like I say, we weren't back there enough,
Mhm.
and we didn't find any tracks or anything, so I don't know for sure.
Well, you
But
guys had
nothing
a
like
lot of
that first year.
fires in this
Oh yeah,
last 3 years. You guys have had fires, and then the whole COVID thing kinda threw everybody off,
yeah,
and, I'm sure there were a lot of different things going on that could
yeah,
have, changed that habitat and,
hmm,
drove them away even,
yeah,
if there was. So
yeah,
that's an amazing encounter. It really is, because you were there and you experienced the charge.
yeah,
That that is really quite something,
yeah.
Um,
Yes, that was the most terrifying thing I've ever had happen to me. Like I said, my legs were just bouncing in the car trying to drive out of there because I was so
uh-huh.
freaked out. Um, but you know, once we got out and grabbed the chairs and all that, then we got back in there, and then it was like, you know, it the you're so scared, it just started taking over, and my legs started shaking and stuff because now I'm back in the
Yeah.
car safe again, you know. And
Yeah.
I just had to get out there with probably something watching me. But you know, once
So when was it um the reality for Jay that he had seen a female Sasquatch? When did it really sink in? Was it the moment you guys discovered the lichen, or was it before that? Did he know right off the bat at when he was staring at her what he
he
was
didn't, when
seeing?
he was staring at her, I don't think he thought that was a woman
Mhm.
walking down the trail. He thought it was a
Yeah.
woman. And he
Yeah.
was embarrassed because he was going to the bathroom, and he knew that if he could see her clearly, that she could see him.
Right.
And then, but like I said, he was just going on about a crazy coat.
Yeah.
What
Do you
difference does
think
the
that it
crazy coat make? You know, turn around or whatever. You know.
Do you
But
think that had he not gotten up and gone over there to pee, you would have both been sitting around the campfire or sitting, and she would have come all the way down to where you guys were at?
no, I think the only reason he saw her was a distraction because, okay, remember the bird was flying and we heard the
Right.
oops
Yeah.
over on our side.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't that long after that she came walking down, and I would believe that was to distract both of us. He's 100% distracted.
Uh-huh.
And then I got up to go check out the crazy coat. So then we're both distracted because I walked all the way down to the creek,
Uh-huh.
and you have to go down this little hill and stuff. And yeah, I was like, I don't see anything, but he'd already yelled, she walked into the forest,
Uh-huh.
and and as far as we knew, there was a trail up there, but there wasn't a trail up there. It went into the forest.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I 100% believe that was a distraction for the younger one that was on our side to get his butt back across to the other side.
Uh-huh.
And then we heard the voices, and there was a stern sounding, but like I said, you can't understand anything. So it just
Right.
seemed a little higher pitched than anything else that we heard when the
Right.
talking was going on. So it sounded like somebody might be in trouble. But yeah, I believe that was all a distraction. I don't think she would have come out other than that.
On now the second time you guys went up there and had that bluff charge. I remember at one of the interviews I was listening to Jay because I did go back and I re-listened to everything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had mentioned a GoPro. Did you guys have a GoPro at that time, or was
We
it you
had
weren't using it, or?
this little, it was kind of a imitation of a GoPro,
Oh,
but it
huh.
was like this circle thing. And you
Oh.
never knew whether you're recording right side up, upside down. It was a mess. It was a mess. And he did make a film of after we had gotten into the car. He turned it on eventually, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, but it's all upside down, and he's got it, pointed toward the forest and all that. But you can't, it's hard to
You
see.
can't see anything.
We've tried
But
flipping it and all that, but yeah, it's difficult.
did it have audio on it as well, or was it just a camera? Just the
Yep.
It did have audio?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, see, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah.
The conversation that would go on after something like that would be something I would like to hear even in private. um but yeah, that's what I had heard, but I had not seen if he had posted that anywhere or had
Yeah.
released
No.
any of that.
No.
Um
I actually just recently found it, and then we decided, okay, yeah, we're just gonna, we're just gonna hang out with that.
uh
I have
um
teased him with it a few times though.
oh oh, I'm sure, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's bad." But because I know how he likes to be perfection,
Mm-hmm.
he likes
Mm-hmm.
to have things go the right way.
Yeah.
Um, wow. So that first time then when you guys were out there, then the campground was pretty full because of that weekend. Do you think other people had experiences? You would think they would have to.
I don't know about that weekend. I know there was other people by the time I got up there. There was
Yeah.
people everywhere by the time I got up there. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I do
Yeah.
know that they get a lot of people up here at the store that stop in and talk about
Mhm.
having experiences. So they do happen up here.
Wow. And do they have like a camp host, or is it just off like Fire Road or
Where we're at is dispersed camping. So you
Mhm.
just, there's lots of camp spots, and you just go find one and camp. And so depending on the area that you're in, some places you
Uh-huh.
need a discovery pass, some places you'll need a forest pass if you're in a
Mhm.
monument area or any of those kind of scenic areas. But just this spot, you don't need anything. It's just a pull in, camp for free.
Right.
But there's no water, bathrooms, that kind of stuff, other than
Just
the creek
dry.
that runs through.
Yeah,
So,
dry camping.
so yeah. But there is a horse camp a little bit farther down that has, you pass that coming in, and during season there's a camp host there. So, I guess I don't know. I've
Because,
never been
well,
in
my
there.
mind was just thinking, oh my gosh, Dre was out there all by himself overnight. And what if things had gotten bad? This
Yeah.
thing did attack the tent or something. Where could he have gone? How close would have been the closest person, that he could have run to or get to? And
Yeah, because the only
a
people
mile
that we
away, maybe.
saw were the campsite that we originally wanted to go to, which was a couple miles up the road. And then you've got the horse camp, which I would assume that there's a camp host there. So yeah, and that's probably mile and a half back the other direction.
But in the dark, in the middle of the night, oh my
Right.
God.
And like I
There's no
said, that's the
way
first
I
time
would
we'd
do
ever been
that.
up there. So he's not familiar with the area, the road,
Yeah.
anything. And yeah, I mean, he gets lost going to the store. So, to be out there in the dark and then go, okay, which way is down? And it's 8 miles back down to the main road that leads into Cougar. And there's,
Wow.
there's nothing, but there is a campground by the lake that's 4 miles down. So, yeah.
Wow.
Who wants to do that in the dark?
No, thank you. That
Yeah.
would just be terrifying.
And when it charged us, it wasn't completely dark yet. The sky was still light, but it was dark in the forest. You would look in there and it would just be black. But you'd look up at the sky and it's still daylight. So it was just at that in between.
Right.
So, yeah.
If they were already
active
active
all
at
day, but I
that
can't
time,
see anything.
I don't know. If you guys had stayed the night, I think it wouldn't have been great. I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think so. No,
I
it was
think he
not
was getting
happy
pretty
after he
brave.
did that yell. I think they were already irritated because we'd smelled the
Yeah.
smell and the tapping and stuff. I think they were just already irritated. Oh, and when we got back from walking across there that night after we'd heard the tapping and all that, and we got back across there, that's when I realized what was wrong with the camp. Somebody had come in there with a rake and raked the whole thing. And like I say, it's a free campsite that anybody shows up at, but somebody had come in there and raked from the fire pit all the way out. Everything was just these little lines. There was no print of anything. There was no leaves. There was no nothing. It was just these little lines from somebody raking it. Nobody does that. It's
wow.
It's a campsite,
Right.
There's dirt on the ground, so yeah.
Well, I can't say much for my mom.
Like
She used to do some of that, but she used to do it just around the fire circle, so that if sparks came out, it wouldn't catch the dry litter, but not a whole camp and not like that, and so
and
the Rangers, I mean, the only choice is that the Rangers went in there, saw footprints, and tried to destroy evidence.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That's
like I said, that was always the only
person
we passed coming up there was the forest person. So I don't know.
It's a conspiracy.
But I've never seen anything like that in there since then. So
yeah.
But we've never smelled the smell since then. We've never heard the whoops like that since then. We've never heard the tapping sound since then. So whatever it is, it's not something that's in there all the time because we go up there every year.
Yeah.
And, so I don't know.
Wow.
Something's in there.
That's a very interesting, scary, I want to go, but I don't want to go type of feeling it's given me, you know?
Yeah.
Jace keeps telling me, you got to come visit. I'm like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. You know, I do and I don't. I want to go cook with you, but I don't know if I want to go to your campsite.
Yeah.
um,
That first year after that, because we were only able to go up there a few more times after that initial getting bluff charged and all that. And then
yeah,
the snows hit and you can't get up there. So the
right.
next year when we were able to go up there, it was difficult, and I don't sit out at the fire by myself anymore.
Uh-huh.
I yeah, he goes to bed, I go to
Wow.
bed too. I can't do that anymore. That just freaks me out. I hear every little thing,
Everything.
so
Oh my
it's
goodness.
no longer a relaxing experience for me. So I just don't do that.
I
But I
bet.
love to be up
Yeah.
there now. Um, it's been a few years, and that's my favorite spot to go. I love it.
Uh-huh.
And now I sleep like a baby. I go up there, and that's where I sleep the best at. So
Uh-huh.
um, I've just,
Wow.
I don't know, accepted it. And,
Uh-huh.
if they're there, they're there. And I don't think they're all out there to attack you and hurt you. I think if
Mhm.
you're in their space or you irritate them in some ways, they will let you know, just like a human would let you know,
Right.
back
Well,
off
if
or
they had
whatever.
young ones, if they had some young ones
Yeah.
there, they were definitely being protective.
Yeah.
And also, you also mentioned you were cooking out there and had food.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that could have been a trigger as well.
Yeah.
Um, maybe it was your perfume. I don't know. But yeah, just an amazing, completely amazing story, encounter. And it's the type of thing that makes me believe because I've never seen one, but I'm a believer, and it's
Mhm.
encounters like this that make me a believer. So, I'd like to thank you for coming on here and talking about it with me because I know it's hard. You weren't the initial Bigfooter,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and kind of got stuck in all this. Um, but I know Jay's very lucky to have you, and you are a wonderful person. And both of you, I'm so happy to have met you and to have the privilege of talking with you tonight.
Well, thank you very much. You made it very easy to tell the story, and now I've done it, so I don't have to do it
Now
anymore.
you can go, that's
It's done.
over. And now we have to decide how we're going to do all this,
Yeah.
to for everybody else because everybody's dying to hear
Yeah.
what happened. So, uh, and maybe later we'll, if there's things that I forgot to ask or can't or think about later, we can
Yeah.
always add more into this interview. But for right now, thank you, Monda,
You're
for coming
welcome.
and talking with me here at Harryman. And I will see you again, I'm sure. So, what do you guys think? I loved it. I love her, and I love the way the interview transpired. And I've got a surprise for you. Hello, Mr. J. Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm good. Always hungry, watching your channel, watching. Let's bring in your lovely lady. How about that? Hi,
Hello.
Monda. I know I surprised you guys. I'm like, maybe they'll come on, maybe they won't. It's okay, Um, you did a great job. It was a great encounter, and I was privileged to be the one to interview on that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
We also have in the back, we got Mr. Brandt. Hello,
Hey, Brent.
Hello.
Brent.
Hello.
welcome.
Surprise. Good.
And that's
Good.
not all. I have Joe backstage too.
There's one more.
I
We
can't
love
stand
you
that guy.
so much.
You didn't.
Oh, you muted yourself by accident there. There you go.
You didn't tell me you were gonna have that bald headed dude on there.
Which one?
The one right there. There.
Hey, you're just jealous, man. You're just jealous.
Hey, grass don't grow on a playground.
My
Well,
wife wants to say
Thank
something.
you guys
to
for
me.
coming on and hearing the show tonight. I mean, is that not a completely amazing encounter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, going down there too and seeing it in first
Yes.
person, it really adds so much to it. And if anybody else wants to kind of check out some of the stuff that they were talking about to visualize it, if you go on Jay's channel, there's a video of him kind of like walking us around, explaining, the encounter areas and some of the other stuff that happened out there. Because it's a really good primo area for Bigfoot, that's for sure.
Oh man, I should have added that on. I didn't even think about that.
There's lots of berries and mushrooms. Those types of
Getting
things.
some feedback there, Jay.
Are you guys sitting next to each other?
Yeah.
Is this one of those fake news things and you guys are actually right next to each other and not like
I
different
see it.
areas?
It's like, yeah, there she is. Right
Oh!
He's got his volume up.
Let me turn my volume off.
And you won't be able to hear anything.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if somebody I'm sure when you guys just get
From one mic.
headphones, it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got headphones in. He's not.
I've been on this earth longer. Love. It's a mini standard thing.
I can still hear you.
I'm knocking at the door, Jay.
There were some questions.
I have a question.
Yes, go for it.
I love the I love the encounter, everything. But the question and yeah, encounter. Yeah, I get it. You saw it. I know. But my question is, Jay, how the hell did you end up with such a beautiful babe? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I knew that
We're all wondering that.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, yeah.
I just got lucky. That's all.
Don't we
Don't
all? Don't we all?
If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat now. Try to capitalize those so I can find them quicker.
I met her on bigfootsonly.com.
Come on, Jay. We know she would have just gone, oh, no way.
Swipe left.
She's into Bigfoot.
She's got huge feet, so that's why we're on there.
Oh, no.
Someone's sleeping on the couch tonight.
I'll get
See, I don't have my
it
glasses
in a minute.
on, so I'm not even reading the chat. Nothing I can do about it.
There was a question though for you, Jay, about someone who I think wanted to ask you about your orb that you saw.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Jay, can you tell me about your orb you saw?
It was.
You.
Well, that's Mr. Lee. Yeah, okay. It was about. I say it a lot, and that is that it was shaped like a. It looked to me exactly like when a little kid puts the bubble wand, the big one, into the bubbles and goes like that, and you get them bigger ones. Well, it was about the size of a football, and that's how it was acting, like it was a bubble going through the camp. But it had the red. The outside of it was all red, kind of like a glowing red. But you could see right through it, which was weird. But I always said that I felt that it was alive and all that. So it's the only time I've ever seen that in my life. I've never seen anything before or since.
That's freaking weird.
What day was that? When was that?
That was the first night I was up there by myself. That was about halfway through the night that I had. Finally, I couldn't wait any longer. I had to pee, so I barely opened the tent, and just as I start going, I look out that thing, which made me automatically stop, which for a man is very painful, and I just was like watching this thing go, and it was literally moved with purpose, straight down. It never went up or down, or it stayed in an exact path heading down to the creek.
How high up in the air was it? Did you have to look up to see it?
No, probably 3.5 feet.
Wow. That's weird because I think the thing that me and Molly saw, or should I say Molly and I saw, I thought that was weird, but that's even weirder.
It was, what's funny is we'd gone to some conferences after that, and I never said that ever. When I did Wes's interview, I never spoke about the orb. It took me a few years to start talking about the orb because I didn't want people to think I was crazy. As though seeing Bigfoot doesn't make you crazy. I should have thought about that, but it just, it was when I finally went to a woo place, one of their things, which I didn't know it was woo. She figured it out right away, but I didn't. They kept on, so it's the size of a ball. No. Says like the size of a football, that big. Oh, like a softball. It's like they weren't listening to me. They were trying to make their little thing happen for me and like try to talk me into what it was I saw.
Yeah.
And I'll never deviate from the truth ever. What it was about the size of a football, and it acted like a soap bubble. It wasn't a golf ball. It wasn't a football, it wasn't a soccer ball. It wasn't a baseball. These people literally, when I was talking to them about this, all these experts, they're all experts in the woo, by the way. None of them just would listen to me. And I was too dumb to realize that I was in a place where the woo were having their little thing.
So they were kind of like trying to lead you into their narrative.
Right.
Yeah, I get you, man, because I don't mention the thing much myself either. And the reason why is because I don't know what the hell it was. So I don't mention it until somebody actually like asks me about it. If somebody says, "Have you ever seen an orb?" Yeah, well, I think I saw something. I guess you could classify as an orb, but yeah, I don't talk about it much either because, again, you get that stuff where people would be like, "Oh, well, this is what you saw," and trying to lead you into their narrative, and the best you can say is, "I don't know what the hell it was. This is what it looked like."
I don't know what it is with the woo and blue orbs. I don't know what that is. The woo and blue orbs. They kept saying, so it was blue then, and I was like, no, it was red. Everyone. Oh, so it was about this big and it was blue, right? And I'm just like, no, it was red. And the thing was, it didn't scare me at all. When I saw that, I had almost a sense of calm. When that was
kind of like,
wow, that's quite calm, but it was just something I was like, oh, there's no way, because I'd heard about that kind of stuff, throughout the years, and then I just was like, no way. So that was a good night.
Molly was not calm, but I was, because I was like, what the hell is that? I'm like looking, I'm like, what is that? But yeah, she was kind of scared. She didn't know what it was either.
I wasn't like freaking out.
I didn't say you were freaking out.
Freaking out, man.
No, but she was scared. Yeah, she was scared. And I was like, well, I didn't know what it was. So I guess really, that's the reason. I didn't know if I should be scared, because I don't know what it is,
Right.
Maybe if it was some kind of forest spirit, or I don't know, if it was something I should worry about, maybe, yeah, then I'd be scared. But I don't see a lot of them, man. Is that like the only one you've ever seen, Jay?
That's it.
That's it. Monda, did you experience any of these orbs or nothing? Nope. Yeah, it's weird, man. There's only twice in my life that I can ever say that I've ever seen something weird that you might classify as an orb. And to this day, I don't know what the hell they are. I just know what they weren't. That's all. I know what they weren't. I don't know what they were.
I see orbs in my house, but
Gary,
I see them
nothing's
through
been
one
any better,
camera.
and nothing's been any worse. It's been, other than I've met some wonderful, wonderful, good people like Brent and Leon and all the people you're seeing right here, and you, Gary. I've been able to meet some great people. So that's the only plus that's come out of this, really.
Okay. And you only said you had that one. Let me move on. Show is now live, taking questions. Oh, that's B telling Kaiju Ninja it's live. I guess he left
He
because
was a little bit confused.
Hey, look, so was
came and let
I.
everybody know I was here.
I was a
So,
little
hold on.
confused myself. I was like, wait a minute, what? Because Nikki messaged me. She said, you want to come on after the interview? I was like, sure, whatever. And I thought it was like I toast must the very beginning, and I was here as soon as she started the show, and I saw her little trick. But I must have missed that whole thing about the thing was pre-recorded. So I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm flirting with your wife, thinking she's in the chat. I'm like, oh shit. This is like
You were flirting with the air, my friend.
Yeah, I figured out a way. Put it on there. And still be here at the same time. So,
Sorcery.
yeah. Let's see. Different. What does this one say? Try different techniques, Joe, and see what y'all come up with. I don't know if they want to see more orbs.
Yeah, I really don't know because I don't know what they are. So I mean, if I knew what they were and if it was something neat, then I'd be like, yeah, I want to see more. But
Yeah. I didn't feel any fear. I did feel like this thing was alive, but I had no fear of it at all.
Yeah, a lot of people have been correlating orbs with Sasquatch.
Yeah, I can't say that's ever happened to me. I've seen them separately. Like I said, I've seen one Sasquatch my entire life, and I've seen 2 orbs in 2 different places in New York, and that's about it.
On certain occasions,
I'd like to see another Sasquatch. I don't want to see any more orbs, really, because I don't know what the hell that's all about, man.
well, I kind of cleared my house of spirits, but occasionally I have a camera system in my house, and one of the cameras is pointed in my living room down to my kitchen. And that camera at night, no air conditioning, no, the fan's not working or on, and you will see these swooping orbs. And I'm going to have to try to figure out how to record that because it's not recording on my system, on my phone. I can go live to that camera and see them, but it's not capturing a photo or it's not capturing video. Like my
You can
front
do a
camera.
screen recording.
So, see, I have to learn a new camera and see how to do that because they're weird and it's always coming towards my room. So I immediately thought it was air conditioning rolling on, but it's happening when it's not on. I've checked that, and it's been going on for a while since I cleared the house, but that's the only thing left is that room in there and these sweeping big type things, and I just keep dismissing it as dust, But,
do you have carpeted floors or is that hardwood floors?
No, I do not. They're tile. They're
okay.
No, I don't have. I have carpet in my bedroom, but not in the main house. All the kitchen, all the way through is tile.
It could be. Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking. Sorry, Brent. Part of solving some of this types of mystery is we need to quit making excuses for them. We need to stop doing that and actually investigate what is this thing we just saw. Now, I do understand what a dust orb looks like. That's real easy. A few other ones like that, but dust orb's not going to cause an orb like this. Okay, so I mean, I think we need to just see if we can't. I'm a Bigfooter, okay, so I don't have time for the orbs, but I think in some of that kind of stuff, we just need to quit making excuses.
Yeah.
But Nikki, for you, I think what your orbs are is It's just dust traveling. Even though there's no like air conditioning on or anything like that, you'll still get airflows, especially when you walk into a room, or just if there's a fan on in a certain room, and since there's no carpet to trap that dust, it just kind of makes things more airborne. And if you actually have allergies, that contributes to your indoor allergens a lot more, because you want the carpet to collect that dust and hold it until you can vacuum it out and stuff, because the hardwoods or the hard surfaces is what probably causes a lot of that dust to circulate around, just as a house has its general pressurization.
El Paso is a dust trap. We've got a lot of dust here, a lot of dust storms. The wind blows year round, and that is actually one of the reasons we didn't put carpet in the house everywhere, because I would rather run the mop, our little mop around every day.
I don't think anybody down in Arizona or New Mexico area has carpet. My mom doesn't, and nobody I know down there. It's all hard surfaces, just because, like you said, it's just it's just so dusty down there, and it's just harder. It's just easier to clean that way.
This whole time I've dismissed it as dust, except for a couple of times where I seen it just looked too big to be a dust particle. It just looked too big, and I was like, whoa. And I'm just looking in there to see where my dog is, because I'm too lazy to get up and go in there and get her, so I'll pop on the camera real fast to see if she's laying on the couch or not. And that's how I initially found that, that happening.
You guys check your updates on your on the little group we're in today. It's good. It's good news. So I just got it. So
cool. Yeah, my grandmother would have yelled at you, Brent. She would have been like, "Dust! I keep a clean house, damn it! There ain't no dust."
Yeah.
But now the indigenous people, man, talk about hard surfaces. The indigenous people around that area of the country, they knew it was up, man. Adobe, that's the way to go. That's what you build stuff, adobe and tile. It's easy to clean.
Yeah, but it's bad if you have allergens too, because you want the carpet to trap that dust, those biopollutants, because if not, the allergen sufferers are gonna, just be hating life. But that's why you got to have like a really good HEPA filter system in your house.
Oh, I ain't got that. Nah. In fact, we have hardwood floors and a couple of area rugs, man, and shit, them rugs are probably full of dust.
Yeah. Well, it lowers if you got allergies, and it definitely plays a factor with your indoor air quality and how, when you have outbreaks and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I know my boys have, our boys have encountered lights in the woods.
I thought I saw orb once. It was early in the morning, and it was on the other ridge. And then after looking at it for a second, after getting kind of excited, I realized it was a car headlights, driving on the other ridge over there. I'm like, oh shit! So close. The thing is,
but
so close.
That's how good you are, though, Brent. That's how good in this type of thinking that we in this group try to use is we're not going to fall for this normal crap that everyone wants to fall for. I'm going to first find out where did that come from. I'm going to do the best to find out I'm going to debunk what I'm seeing before I ever go live or to ever even start telling a story. I want to debunk it myself. If I can't, then I want to tell the story.
Yeah, you got to figure it out, man. I don't know if I'll ever figure out what the hell those orbs were that I saw, but
swamp gas.
Well, you know what? If there was a swamp around, I would have bought that. Now, I've seen, I saw a comment in there. I think it was, "What if it's all true?" said in there about, that there's other weird shit in the woods, and I'll agree with that. People see other weirds, not just Bigfoot. I don't know what orbs are, but I've seen them twice. And that is true. I mean, I've seen weird shit. Some of it I could explain. I saw foxfire. The first time I ever saw foxfire, I was like, "What the hell is that?" I had no idea what it was, and it was really weird. But then I figured out what it was. So, that was cool. But yeah, I mean, so other than Bigfoot in a Technicolor coat, and well, what are you gonna say? Jason in his Technicolor coat, man. But other than a Bigfoot, female Bigfoot in a Technicolor coat made out of that freaking cool ass moss you got pictures of, and the orbs. Has there been any other weird thing that you're not quite sure what the hell it was, but you saw it in the woods going, should that be out here? Either one of you have either one of you
Talking for me, it's talking when you're out and you hear. Now years ago, I'd hear this. It'd be like the ravens are talking, or something. You know, I mean, that's what I always thought was that the ravens are talking. You could hear the voices and stuff like that, but I've never seen anything other than structures that have, in my opinion, nothing to do with Bigfoot. Nothing to do with Bigfoot. This since probably 2010 or so, you've had a huge influx of survival people that go out and stay by themselves for weeks, sometimes 3-4 months at a time. Honestly, there's a group of guys I follow that do this constantly. They'll go out for 30 days, or they'll go out for even longer and survive on just what they have. They build these shelters and all that. And everything that I see that someone says, I don't know how you can say Sasquatch did this. I really don't know how anyone can say that if you didn't watch them build it. Everything I see is a normal structure that a survivalist has put together. And then, you know, it's not big enough for this giant animal to be in, so why would they do it? I've seen that. And that's one of the places that me and her camp with the boys when we go for Father's Day camping. There was a young guy, my grandson's best friend, that's really interested in Bigfoot. So there was a giant boulder with a bunch of trees that are laying across it like this. And I said, well, here's how we decide whether this is something natural or not. We look at the tree damage all around us. I took him through this whole thing. We look at all this tree damage. Now, you see the broken limbs all over the place up here. This is up in Skamania County. I said, but you see these are laid just like this against that boulder. Now let's walk this way and look. You still see the damage, but there's no stacking of any sort. It's just random branches broken everywhere. I said, so something built this. And then we went back a month later, and someone had that spot. It turned out to be somebody the boys knew from when they were younger. That guy builds those shelters. He told us, oh, yeah, man, there's a cabin across the way that I built, too. It's a small one. It's just out of sticks. So I don't know where and when this Bigfoot structure thing came about. I've never seen anything for a second. Now, when Brent came up there and camped with us, there was one of those structures in his camp, and that was modern day. But we could have, if we were hoaxers or liars and all that, we could have taken a bunch of photos of that and said, we're 10 miles deep in the woods, which in reality we're 15 feet off the road, 20 feet, 30 feet, somewhere like that. But we could have said that, you know, so.
Yeah, it was actually Project Go and See is why it got so popular. The whole structure thing, Colorado Bigfoot, Utah Sasquatch really popularized it. I can't talk.
Yeah,
but yeah.
We know
they made it popular.
Yeah. Is that Kelly Shaw?
No, it's just some people who are using Mark Abel for Colorado Bigfoot and
Mark Abel,
Utah Sasquatch. Yeah, Utah Sasquatch too.
Yeah. As far as that goes, Tristan, before your encounter, I thought they were apes before the encounter. I always thought that they had something human toward them because of their feet, but you know, if you don't see one, you can only go by what everybody says what they are and all that. So I thought for years, especially when I was out hanging out with Will Jevning, that they were apes, and I don't think that anymore. Not after what I saw. I don't think they're apes. I think they're human. I'm not saying sapien, not sapien, but they're humans.
How about, did you take a picture of the moss or take it with you?
Oh, you can get it anywhere you want. We did pick up several. we did pick up a bag of it, and I spent half a night with a big magnifying glass going through it to find hair. And
Yeah.
the one I
Well,
found, I
I
dropped and I
don't have
couldn't
any
find it.
moss over here, so I can't see it.
No, we
I
did have
have
one. We
rocks
did
and
capture. She held that lichen up, and I had that GoPro looking thing, and you got that pink and purple shine off of it because
I
it'd been
saw
rained.
that. You showed that on your channel or somewhere.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
I
he
remember-
has filmed it on one of his shows when we were camping.
Yeah, I saw those like weird, like what you were talking about, the
Mhm.
purple and the pink, and that's
Yeah.
weird, man. Because I don't think we have that kind of moss or lichen here in New York. I don't think I've never seen it myself, but yeah. So hey, Nikki, could you bring up Kaiju Ninja's other question though before he pees himself? I want Jay to answer that question
one?
for him. The first one.
The first I did. He did answer it.
Oh, he answered that. What was your
Yeah.
opinion?
Well, yeah,
Where was
he's asked
I?
What
Where
he
the hell
thought
was
We were here, man.
before the encounter. What he thought there were apes out there.
Oh, okay. Well, I just missed it. I'm sorry. I just like it's old brain, man, and maybe it's a few beers.
Well, I used to argue with Will Jevning years ago,
Sorry.
and I thought that they had to be some sort of a human of some kind, or they had something to do with human, because apes don't have feet like that. And then you get these guys that go, "Well, but we're apes." Oh, stop
Well,
with
we
the
are,
words. We
but,
may
I
be
mean-
apes. We may, but we're not that ape. Okay?
No, we're not. We're not that ape.
We're
no.
human freaking beings, and
Yeah,
Homo
we're all-
sapien sapien.
There's a difference in the genre or genres. I mean the species
Yeah.
and the genuses. That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to say. The genus and all that. And yeah, dude, you know what? I don't know what the hell they are. I can only say for myself that they're not. Okay, here we go. See semantics with the we're all apes,
Yeah.
but they're not gorillas. They're not chimpanzees.
Right.
And I agree with you, Jay. I don't think I could be proved wrong tomorrow. Who knows? I don't think they're Homo sapiens sapiens.
Nope.
They're maybe somewhere in the genus. All I can say is just like you, man. From what I saw, I could say that it looked more human than anything else. You know,
That face was a human face. What
and
I
it
saw
did
was
not look exactly like us, but
right.
it looked more like us than it did a gorilla.
I saw a Caucasian woman's face, only it was about twice or bigger the size of ours. That was the only. But in the modern day, if like I said, I thought I had clothes on. I was fooled. Until I watched the movement when she abruptly into the forest like that. I was like, you have to be trained to do that. That's a military move. I was just like, wow, that was an abrupt left face, forward march, just like that.
Well, the thing with Bigfoot too is they don't have that longitudinal. Forget it. That the long arch on their foot. Like humans do. Like all homos for the last 3.4 million years have that long arch that Bigfoot doesn't have. They only have like that mid-tarsal arch there, and so that kind of maybe indicates where they're kind of at on the branch of life there, because they never developed that long arch right there that we've developed, which has been shown to be a evolutionary benefit for us because it makes us faster and whatever. So maybe that will help us dial in where they're at on the tree of life or whatever.
I didn't know that, JC. Thank you.
Neither
She says
did I.
large decaying animals undercover can also create light bubbles of gas, a long known phenomena. Stories abound about graveyards in the human past.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that when animals decay, bodies decay, they release gas, but
Yeah.
I didn't know it could cause light bubbles. That's interesting.
Maybe somebody had a Bic lighter right by one, and oh no, that's lighting farts. That's my bad.
Done that too.
Cheech and Chong.
Done that too.
What kind
Who hasn't lit a fart at least one in their lifetime?
Yeah, see if it works.
You got to, right? You have to. I didn't believe it.
I don't think this thing looked anything like the Patty, other than I would say she was 300 to 400 pounds, and probably I would say if anything she was. When I had to. It took me a long time to think about it because Brent's been up there. It's kind of a slant coming down, so I was not putting the slant from where I was standing and watching her. I didn't put that into perspective, so I figured her to be about 5 feet, but I would say 6 feet, because I didn't think about the coming down the hill thing. She wasn't super tall, but she was wide. I mean, extremely wide, and I just thought that this was a heavily layered lady. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny where it turned down the path right there is where me and this other guy, Grant, we were out there doing a night walk and stuff where this, just a tree fell over. It just sounds like a tree fell over. Was it pushed over? Did the elk spook it and whatever? But it was interesting because it was right there at that same turnoff, like right back further into the forest there. I've been meaning to post it. I just don't know why I haven't yet. Because I have it all recorded and stuff on the many things. I keep forgetting about it. It's a good one though.
that was a great weekend.
Yeah, it was a noisy weekend up there.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Rev, how you doing?
Yeah.
So he said he knows they're apes, but we're not the exact same, the exact same genus as
No, of course.
a
If you look
Sasquatch.
at the church,
They're-
if you look,
They
at the
have their own
evolutionary
line.
tree,
Wouldn't you say so, Rev?
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't get into the arguing schematics of
I don't.
apes.
Well, I don't argue about it, but me and Jeff, Reverend Jeff, we could have a really good discussion about anthropology, and we have in the past about anthropology. I mean, everybody's got their theories or their hypotheses, I should say, because theories are different from hypotheses, and I try to use them in the way that they are meant to. A lot of people just lump them together; they mean the same thing, but in scientific terms, hypothesis and theory are two different things. What I have is
Very much.
hypotheses. I don't have any theories because I don't have that many facts that can back up the theory. But yeah, and Rev Jeff, his theory is perhaps somewhere along the line of the Australopithecines is where Bigfoot came from. My hypothesis is perhaps Homo erectus, man, and the only reason I say that is because of what I saw. I can't go I can't think of anything other than that. So, but you can have a good discussion. Anthropology is awesome, man. It's going to be
Joe,
one of the things that's real important about figuring out this stuff about Bigfoot. Anthropology is going to play a big part, eventually.
Right.
Hey, Joe, remind me to send you a YouTube channel that I came across. You're going to love it. It's all about this. You're just going to love it. It makes me look really a lot smarter than what I am about the whole that whole science part of it. It's an amazing channel that really breaks it down, and something I think you'll be fascinated. So remind me to send that to you later.
Cool.
Yeah, the Rev was probably one of my most favorite shows that we did before we canceled our show. I enjoyed him so much that it was a lot of fun having him on, because I like a guy who's not afraid to give his opinion. That's what I like about you guys. Is that you're not afraid to give your opinion, or not afraid to say how you feel about somebody, and that's where we're not being mean, or we're not being insensitive. We're just saying, hey, look, you're a bullshitter, and most of the time we're right, and so that's what I like about the good Rev. I've been watching him for years, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a guy right now who's about ready to get exposed because he's man, this guy is scamming hard down in Florida, and been caught multiple times, and now it's just like dead to rights caught to the point where he'll go away hopefully for good this time.
Yep.
I just want to comment real quick on my eyes comment. She said, Joe, your own experience is facts. It screamed in your face. Well, yeah, okay. those, yeah, it's fact to me, but it's only fact to me. It's not facts for anybody else because I can't show that to them. I can't show them that particular Sasquatch, and I cannot give you an audio recording of the scream. So, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, but yeah, it's only fact to me, really, at this point.
Yeah, but for people like us that don't have that fact, we can go off your character, how you are, and that's how we, really gauge from if what you are telling us is, true or not. If it's something that we should kind of, believe in or not. So, so it says something about you there, because I believe you.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Kind of, sort of. Well, I got paid to say that. Joe's paying me $20 to say that.
Oh, 20. I thought it was 100.
Oh,
Sorry.
it was only 15 for me, so. Good to see Kaiju so active. I just love this kid, man. He's the new.
Yeah.
He's going to do some good things in this field. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, me and Steve have been meaning to meet up with him this last couple of weeks or so, but it's just like schedule's been like really hard to dial in, and with mainly me for working, but hopefully we're going to dial that in soon this coming week. Hopefully. So
you got two sides. You got a young man who is out in the field constantly with his mother, who is his equal as far as doing all this Bigfoot stuff. Never heard of him.
Yeah, that's cool.
Brought him into this. Then you have this other guy that works at a comic book store and lives in his mother's basement, who's talking at all these southern Bigfoot things, and all these ridiculous flat Earth and Bigfoot killed all this guy, that guy, the other guy, the Mount St. Helens, and that guy's nothing but can't stop him from talking, and so the greasy wheel, or the wheel gets the grease, whereas you have this guy over here, Kaiju Ninja, nobody ever heard of him. And he is, in my opinion, right up there with the best of us, with the best of the people that go out.
I actually think he's doing one of the best investigations that I've personally come across. And, the way he's dialing it in, the way he compiles his information, the way he's open to other people's interpretation of what he collects. And, I think he's probably one of the top people, that's out there, along with like people like Chris Spencer and other people like them that are just doing amazing work in documenting it and showing us what they're doing and the stuff that they're finding and how they're vetting it out and all that stuff. I mean, those are the people we should kind of be, looking at to, be inspired on how we should do our investigations and stuff and to dial in our own investigations. So, because there's no school that we go to learn how to investigate Bigfoot. We got to learn from each other and, you better make sure the people you're learning from are legit and not just blowing smoke up your ass type of thing, because that happens a lot in this subject. So it's good to see people like Tristan, who really I think is going to help show other people how to best dial in their own investigation.
As an old grizzled old fart like me, you pull into my camp, and that kind of pisses me off, and especially if you can see quite plainly that we're camping. And something, just when he pulled in there, it just didn't bother me, and then we meet and talk, and the dog loved him. And I was like, this is a good kid right here, and I didn't know he was almost 40, but I still think of him as a kid, though. But I absolutely am so happy that I got to meet him and get him involved with some good people like you, Brent and Steve. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a great summer because, David Grasshopper, he's going to, come collaborate and some other people as well. And I think we're going to do some really good things. And, maybe you guys can come up too for a couple of them. And, so we can really do some really cool outings and maybe make some really good progress. If worst case scenario, we have fun camping.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all about the camping.
Yeah, same here. I love it.
Kaiju, yes, I do. I believe encounter stories are the best evidence for Bigfoot, and because I'm too harsh on other types of evidence, such as casting prints or structures. I definitely don't believe in structures. There's some, yes, that I gotta admit that are really, really incredible. That it could happen naturally. I do admit that. But unless you have a video of a Bigfoot doing the crossword puzzle or doing the jigsaw puzzle up
Yeah.
in the air, it doesn't mean anything.
Mike?
Unless
Well,
you see a Bigfoot walking and putting the print in the ground, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't to me. To me, my opinion, okay, it doesn't hold. It's just really cool. They're really cool to watch and hold and make and all that stuff. And do it,
yeah.
create the cast, keep the evidence, because one day it's going to make a difference. One day it'll make a difference.
Well, that's what it's all about. Is really documenting our times, our outings out there, properly documenting it for our own investigation, so we can compare it to future and past data points, and especially if we want to present it to other people as well. And that's like with Tristan again. The way he has his evidence all organized, and hey, this is what it is, time stamped, and all that stuff. It's it's kind of where we should really be dialing in our investigations. And there's a lot of good people out there that do that type of stuff as well.
Well, thanks, my eyes.
Yeah, that's right. That's the brains and the beauty of the whole group there. And
Well,
Jay,
I hit the jackpot, man, because she likes to hunt, fish, camp, hike, go to the ocean, fish the ocean. Yeah, I hit the jackpot, man.
yeah, well, yeah, hey, man, you for an old bastard, you're not a bad looking guy.
That's true.
I mean,
How dare you call me old?
you're 2 years ahead of me, so you're old. You're 2 years ahead of me, so you're old. You wear the hat well. I love the hat.
Well, thank you.
They're out there, JC or Jeff.
Reverend says, I don't know, Brent. I met a 7th degree Sasquatch master that was taken as a child by the Gov and trained to track and hunt Bigfoot.
That's the plot for a great movie.
I am gonna have to make this a Joe asks, wait a minute, what kind of thing? What a 7th degree? What squat? Holy crap!
Yeah.
Now
You better write that one down.
That's why you gotta love the Rev, boy. You've got to love the Rev.
Dude, I gotta go to some of these freaking colleges or something.
Yeah, man. That's what you get for missing out on those meetings, man. You don't get this good info, man.
7th degree Squatch. Is there a dojo for this thing or something?
Yeah.
Or
it only cost you $799 too.
Wow.
Send your money order.
Wow.
Can I tell you what I'm proud of?
That's not him either, JC.
Let me tell you one thing I'm proud of that I did a couple weeks ago. What's his name? The porcupine guy.
Christopher Noel with Noel University.
Somehow he was on my line. Somehow he was on my thread, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then, so I just thanked him for such great comedy and how much that I needed that laugh and all that stuff. And I was like, "You crazy sucker! You're a lot of fun to be telling everybody that the little porcupine's a Sasquatch." And, oh my God, he went off so bad, and he went off for hours and hours, and I just stayed, and people were sending me messages. Jesus Christ, he's still ranting about what you said. So he puts out one more video.
I'd love to see that.
He puts out one more video that's like 9 seconds long, where he's just going, "See, folks," and he moves his leg back and forth. I was like, "What the hell?" So last week on my cooking video, I was like, we're standing out there by the fire, and I was like, "Do you see that? How's a damn big?" No, it's porcupine. And then we started talking about how like Joe said, I did one of those public service announcements. Also, we got to quit with this. Next thing you know, we're going to have rabbits acting like they're porcupines and so on. But yeah, that was great, man. It was
mad world. We need to make a porcupine song. Yeah, we need to make a song about it. We need to get creative, guys. We could do this as a team. People in chat, people here. We got to make a porcupine song.
Who's Gar? Does anybody know who Gar is?
I think
Gary-
it's meant Gary.
Gary.
You mean
Yeah, I don't
Gary?
know.
No, I see his comments.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't highlight everybody's comments. I highlight the ones I want to because it's my show.
There you go. Yeah, Donald.
Make sure you
Donald's
highlight the
brother.
ones where,
I
like,
see Gary's comments, and actually, I've put up
yeah, I see
several
him.
today.
Yeah.
So
No, it was
I
just
get it.
B was asking him to use cap locks if he was asking questions of the
Oh,
guests.
yeah, but
Otherwise,
Gary, you know I love you, buddy, and
I do too.
You're great, but some of your questions aren't quite towards the convo. Okay, so I pick and choose.
You're good with me too, Gary. You're good with me.
Yeah, you are. I'm just letting you know, and he knows that too. You know,
You get a thumb up, Gary.
Gary's never bothered me.
Do you know what she did to me the other day? She gave me half a peace sign.
What?
Mrs. Burch, you gave me a half a peace sign. Why?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a half. Yeah, that's about. Wait a minute. 1, 2. Wouldn't that be a third or a fourth? No, a third of one. Yeah, third of one.
Good for you to keep up with this, Joe.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm trying to keep up, man. You know me.
Oh, sorry, all kinds of people
I think
be texting me.
is
Okay,
Steve in too? Yeah, I'm getting what you're getting and what Brent will be getting.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to take this moment to stop right now and address something. And I didn't think I was, but I am, because I feel that we need to send some prayers to a very, very important person in our lives. Someone who I have come to love, and many others have come to love, who is in need of our prayers. And that is Leon Thompson. He
Absolutely.
suffered a mild stroke and has been in the intensive care for 2 weeks. And I'd like everybody to send your warm thoughts for his health, for him to recuperate and get back to himself. We are just now had learned all this. A lot of us had missed him for the last couple of weeks. And finally everybody was texting everybody, and we did something about it, and we found him. So he has been there this whole time, and we didn't know. But he's getting well taken care of, and that's where we are right now. So hopefully he'll be home soon and recuperating from his illness. So that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, I was pretty devastated last night. That took me. I was busy doing my cooking show, and because I'd been sending him messages. I have gotten no return since the 15th.
All of us.
And, so I started talking with, Steve sent me a message, said, "Look, have you seen or heard from him?" I was like, "No." And then, we just got through, all of us got the ball rolling. Thank God for Thomas Steenberg and a few people like that. And Steve, because I was just like distraught for a little while. I'm kind of emotional anyway, especially after something changed in me after the COVID. I'm not the same guy I was. It's just kind of weird. I'm trying to get my strength back and everything. So it's just weird. So I was a little bit taken aback last night, but I got, to me, good news is that it seems like he's going to be okay, hopefully.
Yeah, man, I absolutely love Leon, man. That guy is like top notch to me, and I talked to Thomas yesterday. I was chatting with Thomas, and because I was asking him, and he had told me that he had asked the what do they call it, the RCMP, the RCMP to do a wellness check on him, and that's where this all started into. And he said that he is recovering, though. So
yes,
that is such great news, man. Because man, I was so worried, man. I'm like, man, I love Leon. Because the guy. I'm with you, Nikki. I mean,
I think the more people who can send prayers his way is, I believe in the power of prayer. So
Leon would be like, "Now, there's plenty of people that don't like me." I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? He loves you, Leon." So, but yeah, definitely, man. The guy's top notch, and I hope everything's going to be okay.
We'll let you know that the people that are kind of in this little group that we're all a part of, we care about each other. It's obvious. Even though we haven't, I've only been able to meet Steve and Brent personally, face to face, and enjoy their company. And I got to tell you, you think my wife is a lot of fun, or whatever. Brent's gal, she's nothing but life of the party fun. She is fun, and she laughs, and she is fun and funny, and she's a foodie, so she likes food, and I like a woman who likes food. Don't tell me you don't like food and eat like a rabbit. Eat some food, man, and she does. She likes food. So.
Well, as far as I mean, I've seen Mrs. Barbecue, Jay, but so far with Brent, I mean, his woman is like Mrs. Columbo to me.
He doesn't like to be on film.
I hear about her, but I've never seen her.
I tried to get her for a sample of the food I'd made. She doesn't want to do it. You can hear her voice on one of my videos, but you can't see her.
Yeah. Well, you guys. Well, yeah, we broke up, so we're actually not together. Yeah. So we're friends. So you might see her when we come down, or when I come down. But yeah.
Right out loud. I gotta get out.
Yeah. Awkward now, huh?
Yeah, it's awkward. I'm going to grab another beer.
Insert foot now.
Well, she was a lot of fun.
Well, that got weird. Oh no,
Okay,
she's a great person.
Change the weirdness. Guess what I got? I have got a new game for you all, and this is something you have to do on your own. Okay, I have created a Bigfoot word search. Okay. And let me pull that up so you can see it. And how am I doing this? I could have had this been ready for a while. And no, I didn't. Okay. So let's see if it pops up. Hello. Anytime now.
Oh,
there
nice.
It goes. Okay. It is 30 words in this smiley face, and yes, you cannot see it. So the way we are going to do this is I am actually going to send you a URL link, okay, in the chat, and you have as much time as you want to do it online, and then you can submit your online submission to me, and the first person who sends me the completed word search will receive a bingo card for the big game, for the big bingo game. Okay. So here it goes in chat now. Okay. That is the link to the word search that I've got in the chat. So you will, the first person, okay, who submits a correct, the correct answers, and it says Bigfoot wood search. And I thought they're going to think I just misspelled that. I did it on purpose. So there you go. There's your next puzzle to be completed whenever you want and turned in. Well, the first person gets a card, a bingo card. And it should be fun. I'm anxious to see who is going to participate. So thank you all for coming. We're going to end this so that we can go to Squatch DTV.
Yeah, it looks like he's got something coming on tonight.
Yeah, I know he has something I want to be on.
I just saw Porcupine, and it's like, ooh, Porcupine. I like porcupines. They're cute, adorable. I want to hug one, but
don't forget to hug.
I'm not doing no spoilers, but I bet I know what some of it's about.
Well,
I wonder if yeah.
Thank you guys for being here, and all of you. And thank you, Monda, for a great interview.
Thank you. That was awesome. You did a great job. You too, Nikki.
A kiss. And
you ladies did
love
very
you.
well. Very well.
Joe, Brent, you're always top notch. And to my chat, please be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the people in your life. Don't forget to contact them on regular basis. We live in a society now that people tend to stay at home all the time, and keep track of your loved ones, okay? And mental health, okay? It's a very big deal. And with that, I'm going to put on my sister's little advertisement for her. She is open to talk to anybody who needs somebody to talk to.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And so, Joe, good night, sir. Monda, Mr.
Oh,
J,
I'm still here.
Brett, y'all, I love you all very much.